Hey there, pirates! Welcome aboard the Anime No Me channel. It has already been confirmed that Dragon was once a Marine, and this is very important for understanding more about his mission as a revolutionary. It also sheds light on his past. For example, when Akainu recognized Luffy's potential in Marineford just by knowing he was Dragon's son. In today's video, we will discuss the reasons behind Akainu's hatred for Dragon. I hope for your support to help our crew win, and to do so, you just need to click the thumbs up button, leave a like, and subscribe to the channel. By doing this, you will win an incredible devil fruit, so just comment which fruit you want. Guys, if we analyze the relationship between Akainu and Dragon from the perspective of their philosophies, ideals, and personal histories, it's easy to see that the hatred Akainu has for Dragon runs much deeper than it seems. Although the One Piece manga hasn't given us all the details about Dragon's past, we know enough to speculate on why he is so hated by Akainu, especially considering that Dragon, before becoming the leader of the Revolutionary Army, was once a member of the Marines. This revelation, which was officially confirmed in the manga, completely changes the way we interpret Dragon and his relationship with key figures like Akainu. Dragon, being the most wanted man in the world and Luffy's father, is a figure shrouded in mystery. However, the fact that he was once part of the Marines suggests that at some point he shared the same system that Akainu idolizes so much. This connection brings interesting implications, especially when we consider what it means for someone from within the Marines to abandon their position and become such a deadly enemy of the world government. Dragon's desertion was likely one of the most impactful events in the history of the organization, and if Akainu witnessed this up close, it's easy to understand why he would harbor such visceral hatred for Dragon. Before becoming a deserter and revolutionary, Dragon may have held a prestigious position within the Marines. Although the manga hasn't yet explored exactly what Dragon's status in the organization was, I believe he must have been someone of great importance. Not only because the Marines concealed this information from the public after his desertion, but also because Dragon is an exceptional strategist, in addition to possessing unusual strength and charisma. These qualities are rare, and within the Marines, he was likely seen as a prodigy, someone who had the potential to rise to the highest ranks, perhaps even being considered a future admiral. If that's the case, his desertion would have been an immeasurable betrayal in Akainu's eyes, someone who values loyalty above all. Akainu's philosophy of justice is something that shapes all of his actions. He is the main advocate of absolute justice, an unyielding belief that any threat to the order established by the world government must be eliminated at all costs. For Akainu, there is no room for ambiguity or compassion when it comes to protecting the system. We saw this clearly during the Marineford arc when he didn't hesitate to attack his own subordinates who attempted to desert. For him, desertion is an act of betrayal that deserves severe punishment, as it threatens the balance of the organization and the trust that sustains the Marines' hierarchy. If Dragon and Akainu served together in the Marines, as is likely since both are from the same generation, it's easy to imagine the shock and anger Akainu must have felt when he saw someone like Dragon abandon the system and turn against it. Dragon didn't just leave the Marines, he became the world government's greatest enemy, challenging everything Akainu believes is right. This act of betrayal would have been a personal blow to Akainu, especially if he and Dragon had any kind of close relationship while serving together. Perhaps Akainu saw Dragon as someone promising, an ally who shared his ideals, only to be betrayed when Dragon decided to follow a different path. Dragon's philosophy, on the other hand, is diametrically opposed to Akainu's. While Akainu believes that order must be maintained at all costs, Dragon seeks the destruction of this oppressive system. He doesn't fight for revenge or power, but for freedom and equality ideals that directly challenge the foundations of the world government. I believe that for Akainu, Dragon's ideology isn't just misguided, it's an existential threat. And if Akainu recognized this philosophy while they were still serving together, it's possible he saw Dragon as a cancer within the Marines, someone who needed to be eliminated before he infected others. The impact of Dragon's desertion on the Marines' reputation also can't be underestimated. The Marines are the primary force of order in the world, and their credibility depends on their image of strength and unity. The desertion of someone like Dragon, especially if he held a prominent position, would have been a devastating blow to that image. It's likely that the world government did everything they could to hide the fact that Dragon was once a member of the Marines, as this information would undermine the public's trust in the organization. I think this must have also deeply irritated Akainu. He isn't the type of person who tolerates failures or weaknesses within the system, and Dragon's desertion desertion would have been seen by him as an unforgivable flaw. Moreover, Dragon's desertion would have created a dangerous precedent. If someone like him could leave the Marines and become such a huge threat, who else could do the same? This kind of doubt is something Akainu can't accept. He needs a system where everyone plays their part without questioning, and Dragon's existence is a direct affront to that. It's likely that Akainu sees Dragon not just as a traitor, but as the symbol of everything he despises, someone who challenges the established order and threatens the stability of the world. I think that for Akainu, his hatred of Dragon is both personal and ideological. He doesn't just hate Dragon for what he did, but for what he represents. Dragon is the antithesis of everything Akainu believes is right. He is living proof that the system Akainu so values can fail, that people can rebel, and that absolute justice isn't so absolute after all. This must consume Akainu because he isn't someone who tolerates ambiguity or questioning. To him, Dragon is an enemy who must be eliminated at all costs, not just for practical reasons, but also to reaffirm his own worldview. By becoming the leader of the Revolutionary Army, Dragon made a choice that resonated far beyond any individual movement or battle. His decision to rebel against the world government, especially considering his position in the Marines, indicates a profound awareness of the corruption within the system that he, as a Marine, witnessed up close. What, in fact, led Dragon to make this drastic choice? What were the seeds of his revolt? One of the strongest possibilities is that Dragon, as a Marine, may have witnessed abuses within the Marines and the world government that began to erode his belief in the system. Considering that the world government has overwhelming control over the Marines, it's likely that Dragon became increasingly aware of the corruption and questionable methods used to maintain power. For example, we know that the Marines are responsible for decisions like the Buster Call, a radical action that practically destroys an entire island. This measure involves not only the destruction of civilians, but also the execution of innocents in the name of order. The Buster Call at O'Hara was one of the events that marked Dragon's turning point, if not the main reason he became a revolutionary. O'Hara wasn't just a peaceful island, but also a center of study that posed a direct threat to the world government due to its pursuit of understanding the true history. The destruction of O'Hara and the death of Nico Robin was a brutal show of force by the government, something that likely left Dragon in shock. When the Marines, under the world government's orders, executed such a large-scale genocide, it wasn't just a military operation, but a cruel and inhumane reflection of the absolute control the world government sought to establish. At that moment, Dragon got a glimpse of the true face of the world government, a system that doesn't hesitate to destroy lives and cultures to protect its own narrative. Imagining the impact of this on Dragon, it's possible that he felt deeply betrayed. He must have begun to realize that the Marines' ideal of justice was nothing more than a facade. The cruelty of an act like the Buster Call likely made Dragon begin to question the orders he once followed. Without hesitation, the true nature of the Marines, and by extension the world government, may have been revealed to him in a way that could no longer be ignored. And most importantly, it made him realize that the real struggle wasn't for power, but for the freedom of choice and the preservation of human dignity. Akainu, on the other hand, likely saw Dragon as a sort of traitor, not just to the Marines, but to the very system of values he represents. By becoming a revolutionary, Dragon wasn't just breaking with the Marines, he was challenging the entire foundation of the world government, a system Akainu so revered. Therefore, Akainu's hatred for Dragon became not only a matter of personal loyalty, but also a reflection of the existential threat Dragon posed to the status quo. As rigid and relentless as Akainu's philosophy is, it's possible that he began to realize that the true threat to the world government wasn't just Dragon's military strength, but the ideological challenge he imposed. Dragon wasn't simply attacking the pillars of power, he was challenging the very notion that the world government and the Marines had the moral right to rule the world. For Akainu, this was inconceivable. For him, there was no room for debate. Order and authority were absolute, and anyone who questioned that should be destroyed without mercy. Dragon, instead of submitting to this philosophy, became an even more dangerous enemy because his fight wasn't just military, but philosophical. This fundamental divergence in their worldviews became the basis for Akainu's hatred of Dragon. The revolutionary wasn't just a figure who left the Marines, he was a personification of everything Akainu despises. A man who dared to question the established order and fight for something beyond brute strength. That was today's content. We hope you liked it and want to share your opinion on the subject. Don't forget to share the video, give it a thumbs up, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care and stay amazing.